What's up guys, Brad here from Piney Grove, and Mrs. Piney Grove is going to join us later because we're going to be doing some brush hogging. Things are starting to grow and I need to go around the property and brush hog. We have a lot of limbs that got blown off from some winter storms. So I want to brush hog in between the pines back there, and then also we want to brush hog the food plot in the back. It's 1 acre. It's got grains in it, and those grains are starting to go to a seed head, and I want to terminate that before they go to a seed head and waste the nutrients in the soil. I'm going to be using the Summit TX25H 25 horsepower tractor, and I've got on back of it my old faithful 5-foot wide king cutter brush hog. Now, as part of our partnership with Summit, they're going to provide us a brush hog. We just don't have it yet. It should be on the way. But this brush hog here, I bought 15 years ago for $400. I've completely destroyed it many times by putting it in too thick a brush and trees. So now it's been rebuilt. It's probably been rebuilt 4 times, probably cost me $1,500 or more with all the rebuilds. But this thing is a tank and it can handle just about anything. And I actually was doing a little brush hogging last night with the Summit before it got dark, and the Summit was handling it fine. But we're going to do a lot more today, so we'll be able to test if this 25 horsepower tractor can really handle this 5-foot brush hog. What's more important than engine horsepower on a tractor when you're doing brush hogging is PTO horsepower. And this Summit tractor has 18 PTO horsepower and is having no problem swinging that heavy brush hog. But me, on the other hand, I am having problems. So the tractor is made for 54-inch implements, and I've got a 60-inch implement on there, and I forgot that it sticks out past the tractor wheels, and I actually hit one of these pine trees. So I was going along here and I was doing fine until I got here and I stripped the bark off of this pine tree. And if you're new to tractors and if you're watching our channel for Summit content, got to keep that in mind. And I know that, and I knew that when I put the brush hog on there. I just forgot it when I was using it. And when it sticks out wider than the tractor, you just got to be careful next to buildings, next to fence posts, next to trees, or else you'll clip whatever you're brush hogging around. On our other tractor, this brush hog is the same width as the tractor. So if the tires clear it, the brush hog will clear it. I got the tractor backed up against this brush and I'm just going to mow over it. But I just want to say, if you have a new brush hog, you probably shouldn't do this because it will bend it up. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, this thing is reinforced. It's got 3 layers of like 1/4-inch steel on all the corners, and it can take a lot of abuse. And also, it's 14 years old, and if I break a blade or break the stump jumper or mess up the gearbox, which I haven't been able to do in 14 years, I'm not worried about it. I would never do this with a brand new brush hog because you'll tear it up real quick. This is fun doing it like this. It's tight quarters, but I think I can clean all of that out. So I pulled some of that brush out that I just chopped up and put it over here in a pile so it'll be more easy to access it with the brush hog and chop it up finer later. But once I got back in here, and it was really tight coming back in here, I don't think I hit a single pine tree though, but I was having to make like 1 inch backwards and forwards to get in here. But you can see these are planted pine rows, so these aren't naturally occurring pines. They were planted purposefully in a row. And I'm trying to clean out in between these rows so that the house that's behind you can see all the way back to the food plot. Just have a natural atmosphere here behind the house. But going back and forth here, the reason I stopped back there is I'm trying to preserve every oak tree, and the oak trees tend to grow right in the center of the pine row. There's one in back of the camera, I'll show you. So I would only go this far forward because of that oak tree. And we got another oak tree there, and there's the house, and that's the view out the back of the house. But when we come down this way, there's another oak tree right there in the center. And I can get around it to the side, I just don't want to skin it up and mess it up. But as far as the tractor's performance, it's doing fine. I'm trying to be careful because there's a lot of things up under a tractor like electrical lines and hydraulic lines, and I don't want to catch that on any sort of stump or brush. So I'm trying to be careful and clean a good path as I back up with the brush hog so that the tractor itself is always over top of something safe. I like to take off the front end loader because then it's more maneuverable in spots like this. I just haven't taken it off the Summit yet. And it's an easy process. I've taken loaders off of tractors before. They're quick attach loaders. But you can see there that that adds 2 or 3 feet in front of the tractor. And if I raise the loader up, then I can get closer to a tree, but then it kind of messes up your center of gravity. And you don't want to have, for no reason, weight on the loader up higher. You always want that down low. It's always good to keep an eye on your tractor gauges for overheating, because a lot of this stuff raises dust and will clog up your radiator. You also want to be aware of any sticks that are coming up that you didn't chop off correctly or you didn't chop off completely, because those sticks can go up underneath your tractor and do damage. They can also puncture these tires. These are some tough tractor tires, but you can puncture them with sharp sticks. But we got this area cleaned out. I'm gonna go back and forth between these pine rows and then grab Miss Piney Grove, and we're gonna go do some more easy mowing. Look what I found wandering around the property. You ready to do some tractoring?
Yes, I am.
So she's never used a PTO on the Summit, so it's an electric PTO, so I'll show her how to do that. And otherwise, she asked me, how do you want me to mow it? And I said, I just want it all cut down. And what did you say?
He said he didn't care. I said, would you want me to go down the center and do that? And he goes, no, I don't care. I said, you don't care? He goes, I just want it mowed. And then I said, well, what if I want to make a corn maze? And he said, whatever you want to do. So if he makes fun of me while I'm mowing, you just remember, he told me whatever I wanted to do.
Guarantee I'm making fun of her while she's mowing. All right, so this tractor has to have the parking brake on and be in neutral to start. And then you got to push the brake over here to start it.
Yep.
Put it in low gear.
Okay.
And then with the throttle low, it has an electric PTO. So you just hold this and then you'll see the PTO light come on. Once it's engaged low, then you speed it up to 540 RPM.
So once I see the PTO engage, I let go of the lever?
Yeah, you'll see the light come on and you'll feel the tractor engage the PTO. You got it in gear and it's low throttle. Now hold that and you'll see the light come on over here. All right, put your hearing protection on. Yeah, then you just go. She's got it. That PTO startled her, but I think she's good to go. I already mowed around the edges to give her plenty of room to make her turns here. So I did like 3 or 4 passes last night and got that all squared away. I also just sharpened the brush hog because I was doing so much thick stuff. I hit so much dirt, so many logs, that it was basically like the backside of a butter knife. It was so dull. So I sharpened it, I greased it, and should be able to knock this 1 acre out pretty quick. She's making her turn. I don't know what she's doing. I think the brush hog dug in on the turn because I heard the tractor laboring a little bit. So what was happening on a turn, the brush hog was kind of digging in when it goes sideways, and it was making it harder for the tractor to turn, and it was bogging down a little bit. She didn't know why. See where the brush hog was digging in when she made her turn. She didn't drive a very straight line, does she? I thought she was gonna go over here and knock out this section. She's going all the way around. There's no right or wrong way to brush hog or mow a field, but there is a more efficient way. What we're trying to do is just stop this grass or these grains from growing. They're already going to seed a little bit, and just take all those nutrients, knock them down into the soil, and then when we plant in a month or so, it'll all incorporate in the soil. We're just trying to build this sandy Florida soil. See the little seeds? It's not dry yet, it's still in the milk stage, so hasn't used up all the nutrients in the soil. So this field slopes from there down to there, so I'm trying to avoid this, which is giving the water paths to go down the hill. Kind of want it to be bunched up like that to create a dam so the water doesn't flow as readily down the hill. But I'm gonna stay true to my word and not tell her how to mow. All right, I'm gonna say she's gonna come down here and then she's gonna turn and go back there. Last year we plowed this field, so all the organic matter on the top we put down underneath about 6 or 8 inches. And now we're trying to rebuild that top 6 inches with the land that we turned up or plowed. What we planted here is rye grain, cereal rye, and something called triticale. And we didn't fertilize it, and it didn't get to be a great stand out here, but there's still quite a bit of organic matter here. And we'll let this dry down and incorporate it in the soil when we plant. Ultimately, we want a lot darker, richer soil that can retain moisture. And it's just going to take a while to do it with this sandy Florida soil. Everything you see surrounding this 1 acre field is what this field looked like 5 or 6 years ago. And it was nothing but planted pines and sandy soil. I missed it, but she was pointing in the woods. She lifts up her leg when she points like that. She'll lock into a point for a long time. She was fussing because I said, go back and forth cross grain. I don't know what she said, but I think she said something like, you're gonna let me mow it the way I wanted to mow it. That brush hog has seen so many acres of debris and brush, and that's really hard on the blades. And the blades are supposed to be kind of squared off, and they're actually kind of pointed. So I need to change the blades on that thing. Another thing that dulls the blades is we have a lot of pebbles in our soil. So in addition to the dirt and the sand coming up and dulling the blades, I just heard a pebble hit the deck of the brush hog. And they're roundish pebbles, so they kind of leave a mark on the blades. We have ant hills from fire ants, and that's where that dust plume came from. She hit a big old ant hill. We treat as many as we can, but it's just really hard to get rid of ants. You treat the mound, and then they, a lot of them will die, but then they just move the mound. So there's an active mound there by Bella, and watch, as soon as I touch the top of it, the ants will come out. There they come. They're mad too. They're looking for whoever messed up their hill. There's a big old ant hill. You see all the eggs. They may be small, but those things will leave a welt. I'm trying to keep an eye on Bella. The deer jump over the fence, and she knows where every one of them jumped. She's always smelling and looking for anything she can chase. A deer, a rabbit, squirrel. She's got a pattern going now. Going that way, which is north, and coming down this way, which is south. Laying good strips there. It's a pretty picture. The green grains, and then the different color after they've been cut, and that blue sky. I told her when we started she didn't have to do the whole field, and I just asked her if she wanted me to take over. She said no, she's good, she's having fun. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of something called fat lighter, but the sap will collect in the stump of a pine tree, and she actually just hit one of these sticks, and you can see it's like petrified wood. Looks like she did pretty good. That's even, about the same width on her end as it is down here. Here's that thatch from last year from the soybean field. All that thatch right there that we're trying to incorporate in the soil. She might have the classic strips wider than the tractor. Oh, and then she made the rookie mistake of trying to split it, and now she's got to make 2 more passes to clean it up instead of 1. I think she realized her mistake too. Tried to get more of it than she should have, and she left that little mohawk. Look at her down there, she knows. You just hit another piece of that pine. Look at that. I mean, that's 100% petrified with all that resin in there. They call it fat lighter because you take this and break it off into chunks, and it's literally like a match. This stuff will burn and start a fire real quick in your wood stove. She's a little frustrated with herself, I think. To me, that just means more time on the tractor, so that's a win. This looks really, really good. It's hard to believe how blessed we are to own Piney Grove and be able to come out here and do this tractor work and just general enjoying the land. All right, she's all done except for a little strip back there. I'm gonna finish that, but we're gonna get a word from her and then close out this video. All right, that was your first time mowing with the Summit, and I know that's a big brush hog, but how'd it feel?
It was fun, and he told me he wanted me to brush hog today, and we're running around doing things, and I wasn't overly excited, but every time...
Tractor therapy, right?
I tell you, I didn't want to get off it.
Yeah, I called you right here. I was like, hey, I'll take over, and she waved me off.
No,
She's like, no, I'm good.
I'm good.
Did the whole field.
It did. It felt really good. Summit handles really well. It handles really nice. Got it done pretty quick too, even me. And I went faster than I normally go because normally I'm really pokey, and I was like, no, go fast. It's much funner, faster. So I liked it.
Last year you were poking around and I kept telling you fast, and then when I got on it, you're like, oh my goodness, you go so fast. But it looked like you had her mashed down.
I did. I had it pushed. I should have. The Summit has seats that you can adjust, and I should have adjusted that because I found myself reaching too far. But that's my fault. So yeah, it went quick. It went fast, and I'll do it again next time he lets me.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. We sure appreciate you watching. We'll throw a couple links up here to some of our other videos. But until next time, remember, life's short.
Be kind.
and tractor hard.
Take care.
Take care.